Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys one of the most broken strategies. And I really mean it. I really mean that it's absolutely it really is absolutely broken. Witch Doctor with IO. Now, I've been watching actually some of Moo's gameplay. This is who we're going to be following. Second place at TI Player, one of NA's greatest offlaners. And we're going to be watching his Witch Doctor. Now, he actually plays it without IO quite a bit, and I'll get into that a little bit. If you want to try this build and you have no friends because you're a loser and you play Dota, then yeah, you can just buy Soul Ring. So the build he typically goes in the average game is Soul Ring and then into Mana Boost and then into Holy Locket. This game he switches it up a bit. He puts a priority on going mech, and the reason why you're going to put a priority on rushing Mana Boots and then rushing mech with IO is when you pop Mana Boots with IO, you essentially get double the mana from the Mana Boots because you get the mana, it gives it to IO, which then gives it back to you. And same thing with mech, right? You get the health from popping mech, it gives it to IO, and then it gives it to you again. So essentially, items like mech and Mana Boots are really damn good with IO, and yeah, this strategy is broken. If you don't understand why Witch Doctor IO is broken, it comes down to Voodoo Restoration. This ability was changed somewhat long ago actually, and was actually buffed in the most recent patch. The heal damage was increased from 10, 20, 30, 40 to 10, 22, 34, 46. Actually a decent change, like it's pretty solid. 6 extra damage per second doesn't seem like a lot, but no, it adds up, right? It certainly adds up. It's good for farming, good for laning, good for killing. It's just good for everything, of course. But what makes this strategy broken is Voodoo Restoration is not only your farming and fighting ability, but it's also your sustainability in lane. This ability does everything. And when you have it with an IO, let's say you're healing yourself for 46 HP per second, when IO eventually maxes out Tether, it gives you 120% of the HP mana that you give him. So let's say you're healing him for 46 per second. I don't know what 120% of 46 is, but it's probably like 52 or something like that. I don't... something like that. It's a lot more. So you're getting 100 HP per second approximately. That is insane. Right? That is insane. 100 HP per second? Like Heart of Taras gives like 60. Okay, it's more like 50 on most heroes. Like it gives insane amounts of regen. And we're not even talking late on into the game, right? We're talking 11, 12 minutes in, and you're gonna see how broken this strategy is. Like truly, you'll be like, wow, okay, this is something that the pros are gonna use. And they did. It literally was played in the most recent major in the last game of the tournament in the grand finals, and it got buffed since then. So if you don't think this is good and you think I'm trolling, you don't know what you're talking about. Also, I want to tell you guys that if you've been struggling with solo queue and you're looking to get to the next rank, I'm going to be able to help you. Like literally with the gameleap website, I'm going to give you guys guides that are going to make it unbelievably clear on what you need to do. So if you've been stuck in the solo queue grind, you don't know what to do, and you want to become absolutely broken, but like actually you want to become much better at Dota, and you want to take it more seriously, the gameleap website is going to help you do that. So click the link down below. I'm going to help you get to the next rank, and I'll see you there. But alright, getting into the laning stage, you're not going to use your W too much until you take damage. You don't want to use it to harass until you get double value out of it. So what I mean by double value is you deal the damage and you heal yourself. So if you're full HP, generally you're not going to use it. Here, he sees the Riki overextend, so he turns it on. It's going to heal his IO, do damage to Phoenix and to Riki, so I understand why he puts it on here. It heals him up a little and does damage to, you know, both of the enemy laners and heals the eye. In terms of starting items, I've seen some different builds. I definitely like to stick against something like a Riki carry or a PA carry where, you know, you're going to get a lot of charges. However, I've also seen Headdress. Ace in the game he went in the Lima Major went Headdress. The reason why is you're going to build it into Pipe or in a mech, and it gives you the regen, and then it gives IO the regen from Headdress because it's an aura, and then it gives it back to you because it gives it to IO. So Headdress is like you get healing for IO. Like in general, IOs want to have a Headdress in their lane, which is why in this lane, the IO bought it, right? So the IO bought it, so Witch Doctor opted obviously not to buy it, and he went for Magic Wand instead, which makes sense. And you actually don't really have to ship out tangos with this lane. You can if it's like a hard lane for some reason, but you honestly don't have to. You really don't. From there, I'm really not going to focus on the lane too much. It's really not that strong in the early levels. I mean, I'm saying it's not that strong. This lane is like, it's like good. You know what I mean? It has almost no losing matchups because it's just infinite sustain. It's not like some giga pressure lane for the most part. It kind of can be because you're just two ranged heroes clicking people with infinite health. So obviously is a pressure lane in some regard, but you don't have like that much kill potential, especially considering you don't have a real disable. I mean, you have tether slow, I guess, but you don't have a real disable. So for the most part, it's about chipping the enemy down. And if they don't buy enough regen, then you'll eventually kill them with Maledict. But here's where things get pretty broken. Once you get mana boots, which you can get very early on, the item is obviously not that expensive, you start just pumping yourself up with mana. And this is when you become a lane dominator. You go from like pretty decent to just almost infinite mana. You saw he went from 200 mana to 500 mana. I'm gonna replay that one more time. Actually, I'm under exaggerating. He went from 170 mana, okay, 250 after the mana boots, right? So let's say 260 to 540 mana, right? That is crazy. And of course, this IO doesn't even have maxed out tether. That's only 2 points in tether, so it gets better than that. From there, the IO just stays with you, and you should click the enemy carry basically off cooldown. You should never even be afraid of taking a negative trade, right? Like even trades that are bad, as long as you don't die from full HP, they're gonna be positive eventually. It's just crazy. Like eventually every trade is just positive, as every time the Ricky shows, you can just go on him. Now keep in mind, if you turn on your heal too early, like for instance here, I think he turns it on too early, you just push in the wave. Now you could dive, I guess, in this case, like maybe he could dive, but it's sort of like, you don't want to just turn it on, push in the wave when you're strong, right? I actually kind of disagree with his decision here to like play the way he is. Like they're sort of diving Ricky, but once again, they don't have a real stun, so it's hard to track him down and really kick him out of the lane. You know what I mean? Sometimes if they're low enough, of course you could push in the lane and dive, but if the enemy is full HP, I recommend getting the lane back, focus on just like dying and hitting them, and then when they extend for a creep, then turn on that heal, get aggressive, and then maybe push in the lane. From there, honestly, I think you can consider going Soul Ring. Like Ace didn't in the game he bought it. Moo typically buys it, but didn't because he's with IO, which I think is like fine and reasonable. But honestly, you can use the mana. Like even with mana boots with IO, you actually can run out of mana. So you can basically infinitely keep this on if you buy Soul Ring. And the Soul Ring feels good because the hero needs armor and it wants HP pool. Like you don't have a high HP pool. Your hero's strength gain and base strength is like really garbage. So yeah, frankly, I actually think it would be a good idea to go mana boots and Soul Ring. I think it's totally legit. And eventually the pressure just becomes straight up overwhelming. Like I'm not even just saying that. Like at this point, who trades with you? You know what I mean? You kind of just walk at them. As the Ricky gets dove under the tower, he's just tanking the tower. You are literally more tanky than a Timbersaw. And I'm not kidding. Timbersaw cannot tank a tower and take no damage. This strategy tanks the tower and takes no damage. As Ricky goes for the creep wave, you're just gonna Maledict him up. Maledict does damage based on how much HP they lose, so obviously you wanna keep the heal on them when they're Maledicted up, and they're gonna chase down the Ricky eventually. They Thunder Gods to keep him low, but yeah, no problem chasing. You never run out of damage, unless you run out of mana, but you generally never run out of damage, and they chase down the Ricky and kill him off. From there, if you're playing this strategy with an IO, you want to push in the creep wave and then farm the nearby camps. Wow, that's a lot of bounty runs. But yeah, you just push in the wave and then you farm the camps, and that's it, right? You just start farming, and you're gonna hit a crazy timing, which we'll get into momentarily, like a nasty timing, as he's gonna push in the camp, right? Clear out the small camp, push in the creep wave, and you're looking to flash farm. He currently is third highest on net worth with 70 CS at minute 11 here. Okay, now is the fun part. I hope everyone stayed to this point in the video, because this is the fun part of the build. This is when it looks like the most broken thing that Dota has ever spawned in, and it just got buffed. It just got buffed. So he's almost out of mana. Whatever, you pop your mana boots. There you go, half mana, easy. Then, I guess, what did IO pop? Someone manaed the IO. Oh, they had Zeus mana booted. Zeus, he had 100 mana, and then they popped 2 mana boots, and he's just full mana. It's just hilarious. But yeah, at this point, healing up the Ogre, healing up the IO, right? So it's nice in that regard, right? You're just constantly healing up your whole team. And then from there, look, he's gonna dive. Okay, he can just start tanking the tower. Literally, he's tanking the tower right now, whatever, full HP instantly, because the IO's healing him up, and he's healing himself. And yeah, then he's gonna continue to literally tank the tower. It doesn't matter. He's actually just tanking it. Okay, he'll de-aggro onto the creep wave, which honestly he didn't have to do, but I guess he can just heal the creep wave instead, as the flag bearer creep is not dying through the tower. From there, the enemy team says, oh, it's an 1100 HP Witch Doctor. He's diving our tier 2. Probably we should respond and kill him. That would make a lot of sense. This is like a theoretically horrible play in almost every single game. He gets RP'd into a supernova, into the calling, into avalanche, into shockwave, into empower auto attacks. Wow, look how much damage he's taken. Oh, is IO gonna die the support? Nope, he's not. Is Witch Doctor dropping any lower? Like, what is this? He's full HP. They just ultied him with like 3 heroes and casted every spell. And he's still full HP. He's tanking the tier 2. Okay, he takes half his health. 3 seconds later, he's full HP, drops the death ward, finishes off Tiny. Back to full HP. Are you kidding me? Like, is this, it actually seems like turbo mode. Or some joke mode. It's not, this is real Dota. This is a ranked match. It's actually crazy. So at this point of the game, generally what I recommend is kind of slowing down the pace a bit, which might seem insane because you're unkillable, but the problem sometimes, okay, if the enemy team is just gonna fight you and kill themselves, just fight them, okay? And in pubs, honestly, that happens a lot. So once you hit your Greaves timing, you're practically unkillable. The only way you die is if IO gets tossed away from you, the tether breaks under the tier 2, and you die to 4 or 5 heroes. So yes, you can die if they break the tether and surround you with 4 heroes with no backup. That is like the only way you die, right? Or if they have like AA, maybe they can kill you. Either way, the point being is that this is obviously very strong. However, it doesn't have the best catch, right? Once again, it's kind of the same thing in the lane. It's not the best catch, but what you can do, I just want you to keep the strategy in mind when you're playing, you can just farm out an area. You can farm 30% of the map and completely take it away from the enemy. And what you do is you kind of farm out an area and then you run into the enemy's jungle and you take that area away from them. But you don't have to kill them. Like for instance, this play on the Muerta, it's fine, but like, you know, they're getting the kills, so all these kills are fine. They're getting the kills, they're getting the pickoffs, so like obviously it makes sense. And then he moves into the triangle, right? He's going to take away their triangle camp, farm it up really quickly. After that, you want to kind of keep running. I mean, they find an ancient stack, so I guess they're like, okay, I guess it takes a long time to try to farm ancients. It's actually not that easy, but whatever. You take no damage. Might as well, I guess, eventually kill it off, right? A triple ancient stack, you know, no biggie, no biggie. It's the average day in the office as he drops the Maledict, drops the Death Ward, and that kills the Phoenix in the base. Maledict is actually an insane spell. By the way, in terms of talents, at level 10, you get Voodoo Restoration, minus 25% mana per second. I've actually seen people take Maledict AoE. You can actually take either. It might seem surprising, but with IO, you can kind of get away with it. It only makes the mana per second go down from, I believe, 20 to 15, which it's okay, you know what I mean? It's definitely good considering you're keeping it on almost constantly, so I can see it. Yeah, and it's kind of the same story. Like, honestly, this is what's so, you're just like the best bait in the game. I mean, look at how ridiculous this is. It's actually, I don't even know what to say. It's just straight up, it's actually just ridiculous. Like, no joke. They go mid here, they're gonna clear the mid wave. No information, okay? Only Phoenix is dead. They get 2 mana repeat, right? Seems good. However, Tether is up, Voodoo is up. They have to try to kill the IO, right? So eventually, they're gonna kill the IO. He gets off his Greaves, which heals up the IO. They E-blade the IO, which was actually probably a mistake. That was definitely a mistake. But he's fine. He's full HP. You know, the classic 4 heroes full HP strategy. You know, very common in Dota. And they get counter-initiated on by the free farm Spectre, who has had complete space. Like literally the Witch Doctor has created so much space that the Spectre is just free farm, right? The Spectre is 3, 4, and 5. Like the Spectre's not even having that good of a game. The guy's negative KDA. Just doesn't matter. There's just infinite space, right? No joke. Infinite space. This guy has Meteor Hammer, Radiance. That's actually Chad. I like the Meteor Hammer on Spectre. It's actually not that bad. No joke. It's probably pretty good actually. But yeah, in terms of items, typically after Pipe Greaves, you go Kaya Sange. Sometimes if it's not a good Pipe game, or if it's not a good Greaves game. For instance, Ace was against Ancient Apparition, so he didn't want to go mech because it's not that good against AA, right? So he went Kaya Sange, just kind of build up that status resist against the AA Blast, give yourself an HP pool against the AA Blast, and then of course, right, it amps the self-healing from your W, and it gives you just a ton of mana and a ton of damage, right? So Kaya Sange is kind of just the perfect item. No matter what you buy, like you want a Kaya Sange second or third item. It just makes way too much sense on the hero. When you buy auras, you want HP, right? HP complement auras, HP complement armor. So, you know, you just want to have Kaya Sange. It just makes too much sense. All right, and last fight we're going to be covering here. This is a fight where it actually looks like it could go bad, even though he has 2k HP now. By the way, at level 15, to make things even better, you get a 300 health talent, so you just go crazy. They also buffed the level 20 talent last patch, putting it from 20% Maledict burst damage to plus 25, which is insane because normal Maledict goes up to 40%. So it's it's more than a 50% increase on the lost health burst damage. I mean, which is insane because you guys know, if you've ever played against Witch Doctor or you play Witch Doctor, you know how much damage Maledict does. A more than 50% increase to the burst damage is wild in the late game because keep in mind, Maledict, how it works is You cannot cast it on someone who's BKB'd, but if you cast it on someone and then they BKB, it stays on them and actually does the damage through BKB. So Maledict is like somewhat of a BKB counter, which is why Witch Doctor in general is actually decent against BKBs, because if you can get off that Maledict and then get off Death Ward, everything you do goes through BKB, right? I guess not the heal damage in this time, but you get the point. You can do still a lot through BKB. In this fight, they get callinged. This Morta hero is definitely weird. They get caught in the calling. It is what it is. What can you do? But yeah, things once again look not that good. It's a great RP into a great ulti into the tree volley. Like the IO dropping low. I mean, he's fine. He's fine, to be fair, but his Zeus and the Ogre die, right? So this is currently a 3v5. His IO is about to fall as well. The heal still going, healing up the Spectre for a ton of HP. But yeah, they eventually try to kill him off. The Spectre with the 3-man Meteor Hammer though. Oh my, insane gameplay. But he drops the Death Ward. That's gonna finish him off. I don't know who he maledicted. I guess I think he put it on the Riki, and he's just fine. Zeus buys back, but he was fine without the Zeus buyback. And yeah, it's just once again a Witch Doctor 1v9. This is just good. Like, this is not a mean build, it's just good. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I highly recommend you try out the strategy with IO. If you don't do it with IO, it is going to feel way worse. You can do it without IO, you have to go Soul Ring, and then he would go Holy Locket and then Greaves. That was the build he went in most games. You have to go Soul Ring in that case, otherwise you will not be able to sustain it in terms of mana. You have to take the level 10 as soon as you can, the talent, the mana reduction. Otherwise, you're gonna realize that this is just, the reason why this build is like overall questionable is the mana cost. IO basically completely gets rid of that problem and then doubles the healing. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I'm gonna try this out more. I'm gonna play it a ton. It just seems like fun, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.